Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Faiz Zikri bin Roslan and my metric number is 047476. I will present about the debt crisis in Latin American 1980. For the introduction, the Latin American debt crisis, or it is called as the last decade, La Década Perdida, was the financial crisis which started in the early 1980. Countries in Latin America reached a point where their foreign debt exceeded their earning power and they could not repay it. Most of the Latin American countries gained loan from the World Bank. When the world economy was falling down, recession in the 80s and oil prices increased, it had created a major issue for most countries, especially developing countries. When the interest rate rises in United States and Europe in 1979, debt payment also increases, it making more difficult for the debt countries to repay the debt. The causes of debt in Latin America is due to the rise of oil. Developed countries in Latin America suffered and have to increase the cost of oil and imported product. The oil price increased because of the political and military reasons. The oil crisis in 1973 led to a stock market crash and a slowdown in growth in developing countries. Another cause of Latin American debt crisis is because of the recession in the industrial world. It means that banks had to borrow money from developing countries. We will move to the economic and social effects. Initially, the recession in the early 1980s was severe. The GDP per capita for the country shrank in line for 3 years. In the context of economic impact, the initial recession was even stronger but was followed by an early and have a strong recovery. Under the social impacts, the social costs of the 1980s debt crisis were huge. The poverty rate climbed sharply between 1980 and 1990 from 40.5% to 48.4% of the population. We'll move to the process of the recovery. International Monetary Fund, IMF, has played its function in managing the international conflicts caused by the nearly $500 billion of Latin American debt. The IMF monitors development which affects both the member economies and the global economy as a whole through economic surveillance. This will help to stabilize the currencies and strengthen their economic growth conditions. The IMF expects the countries to repay the loans, and countries need to embark on structural adjustment policies and will be supervised by the IMF. For the conclusion, as a result, the crisis of the 1980s countered with a more elaborate international institutional financial architecture. But that did not turn out to be advantageous for the region, as it forced Latin America to service its external debt beyond its capacity and forced it into unduly contractionary macroeconomic policies. The main lesson from this is not that an international architecture is not required, but rather that there is a need to develop an international debt workout mechanisms. Furthermore, and most important thing, it is 31 essential that international financial institution should never be used to support the interests of the creditor countries. So that's all from me. Thank you.